Nobody go know. No be anybody in business. And everything you see, and everything you teach, everything you shot, and anybody you do. Nobody know. No be anybody in business. Yeah. But nowadays, everything don't change. It don't be like you say, everybody's business. My own business, not to make my business. I think I expose myself to the public. Impose myself on the public. Everything you say, and everything you do, and everything you want, and everything you get, everybody could know. Everybody could know. Everybody in business. Everybody in business. Everybody in business. Everybody in business. Everybody in business. Everybody in business.
Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the third and final evening of JDC Entwine Global Variety Hour. My name is Robin Gelfenbein, and I will be your host for the evening, otherwise known as your ambassador of fun. I'm here for your Gelf quarantine, your Gelf isolation, and I am coming to you live from a distance. So I'm so excited to be here tonight. I wanted to just see who else is here. So tell me where you are tuning in from. Let me know in the chat, and also let me know if you were here any of the last two nights. Now, I can tell you right now, if I see Carol, she was here last night and her emoji game was off the charts. She had emojis for like every single thing. Jeffrey, the night before, he was cleaning up in our interactive portion. All right, cool. So Susie, I believe that's Josh's mom. Let me know if that's the same Susie. You're tuning in from Dayton. You've been here both nights. So psyched to have you back. We've got Jeff back from Baltimore for the third evening. I am so thrilled to have you here again. So thanks for joining us, Jeff. Ariel from New York City. We got Tuli from LA, which is not surprising because Tuli's performing. We've got Liba from stormy Long Island. Oh, yikes. Tell me, I almost called you Stormy. Did you lose power? I hope you and your family and your loved ones are okay, Liba. Let us know in the chat. Shuli is here from New York. First time tuning in. Well, welcome. Shalom. Thanks for being here. We got people from Connecticut. Tell me where in Connecticut, because I am from the Hartford area originally. Harlem. Hello, Harlem. You're like right up the street from me. We got Norwalk. We got Chicago. Okay, Liba giving us the latest on the storm on Long Island. She says for a hot second she lost power. They're okay, and she's so glad she got it back so she could tune in, and so are we. So thank you so much for being here tonight. The last two nights were really fun. It's always so important for us to come together and really get to know each other over stories. And one thing that I learned, wasn't last, it's 2 nights ago, we learned something very important for all Jewish people. And even if you're not Jewish, it's totally important to know. It is a Facebook page called Jewish Women Talk About Everything. So if you have visited that in the last couple days, tell me, did you put a comment in there? Did you get in an argument with somebody? Because that's how our people can be. So anyway, we are here tonight to celebrate and learn a little bit about JDC Entwine through stories. And JDC, if you are not familiar with it, is the oldest and largest humanitarian organization helping Jews and non-Jews who are in need and in crisis all over the globe. And this is so cool. They have been around for over 100 years, and they have been working with 70 countries worldwide. It's so impressive. And you'll hear us referring to JDC Entwine quite a bit. And the Entwine piece of this evening is the young adult platform for JDC. And basically, they offer all kinds of cool, transformative travel experiences. That's what you're going to hear the stories about, not mine. I haven't been on a JDC Entwine trip yet. They also offer educational programs and so much more, with an emphasis on global Jewish responsibility, which is so important. So if you have been on one of their trips, tell me in the chat. I would love to know, where did you go and when did you go? And whether you've been on a JDC Entwine trip or not, I would really, really, really love to know, what is your favorite Yiddish word? My favorite Yiddish word is altakaker. Now, if you don't know what that means, it's totally fine. It essentially means an old fart. And it is so much fun to say to anybody, like somebody who's like technically is an old fart, or to somebody who's younger. It's like, stop being such an altakaker. Like, it could be like a cranky pants sort of thing. All right, so Calix went to India last year, and it was the most incredible trip. That is awesome. Rebecca, I'm guessing you didn't go on a JDC Entwine trip to Boston. I'm teasing you. I know you're tuning in from Boston. The Facebook group name, let me just double check. Jewish Women Talk About Everything. I have to visit it one of these days. So yeah, so let me know what your favorite Yiddish word is. Even if you're not familiar with Yiddish, you could be like, does oi count? Yes, oy vey is great. People throw it out there all the time. Anna was supposed to go to Argentina and Chile this May. I'm sorry you didn't get to go, but hopefully hopefully at some point next year, you will be able to go. And I will tell you, I've been to Patagonia on the Argentine and the Chilean side, and it is unbelievable. Isaiah has been to Ethiopia, Israel, India, Turkey, Rwanda, Geschmack. I don't even know where Geschmack is. No, that's not a country. That is a Yiddish word. Tell me what that means, because I actually don't know. I would love to find that out too. Okay, so while you still let me know about your favorite Yiddish word in the chat, I wanted to just share with you about this evening. So back in January, I started working with people who'd been on JDC Entwine trips on their personal stories. I was coaching them on all of their stories, because the original event was supposed to be live shows in New York, DC, LA, and San Francisco. But then this little thing, we had this unintentional break, also known as the C word, that happened. And so now we're back, and we're so excited to be with you. And you are going to hear such incredible stories about all of these really powerful experiences that our storytellers had when they went on these trips. You're also going to hear music. We've got fantastic musicians here this evening, so buckle up. It's going to be such a fun show. And if you haven't been to a storytelling show before, let me know. Put a yes or no in the chat. And just know that everything that you hear tonight, including my story, which is a banana story, everything is true. These are all true stories. And some of the stories you're going to hear are funny, and some of them are touching, and some of them are a combination of the two. So feel free to put in the chat emojis if you think something's funny, or like, wow, if you're like astonished by something that happens, because everything that you do in the chat helps encourage the storytellers as they go along. with their story. So let me take a peek. Oh, Kugel. All right, we got so many more. Narschkeit. Josh, tell me what Narschkeit means. I don't know that one. Oh, Geschmack is really incredible. Yes, Isaiah, that perfectly describes all of your JDC Entwine trips. Chef Grace went to Rwanda and Israel. Tuli likes Kugel. It is totally fine to be nervous. You got this, Grace. You're gonna rock and roll. Okay, so all right, so let's see. Okay, so a lot of times for storytelling shows, we have a theme. And the theme for tonight is connection. Now, this is big for me. I am a huge introvert. I absolutely love connecting with people. And the perfect example of that is that my first job out of college was driving and serving as a spokesperson for the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Now, if you tell me if you've seen the Wienermobile, just put a hot dog in the chat if you've seen the Wienermobile before, or just write hot dog. I was one of the lucky dogs who got to crisscross North America behind the windshield of a 23-foot-long hot dog on wheels. And let me tell you, it was buns of fun. And the best part, though, honestly, like I love that job so much, but the best part was connecting with people I met everywhere I went, because obviously this thing will get your attention, you know, no matter where you are. Andrew has seen the Wienermobile. Chef Grace, yeah, Grace, I'm happy to know you've seen the Wienermobile because you're a chef, and I think it's almost like a prerequisite. Nonsense. So, all right, I'm going back. Narschkeit means nonsense. Great. Schlemiel versus schlemazel. Thanks, Laverne and Shirley. That is awesome. Anyway, so in addition to like loving my Wienermobile job, which truly was, it really was the best job in the world. I also really love connecting with people over stories. Stories are the crux of human connection. And as we all know, connection is so vital in our world right now. So tonight or today, whichever time zone you're in, we hope that you feel connected to the storytellers and the performers too. And I will be connecting with you all night long. That makes me think of Lionel Richie. All night long, all night. I break into song a lot, so don't be surprised. Okay, so here's where you are gonna be part of the show. Like I said, we ask you to like engage in the chat as much as you can, put applause, waves, whatever, however you're feeling, please let us know in the chat. And then after each storyteller or musician, we are going to be doing two truths and a lie. Now, Susie and Jeff have seen this the past couple of nights, so they're very familiar with it. And basically, we want you to weigh in on it. So just to test things out, I'm going to do my two truths and a lie. All right. So first of all, here are mine. I sang "We Are Family" with Sister Sledge on stage. B, I was detained in an Atlanta prison after sneaking into the Olympic Village. Or C, one time I was in an above ground pool, the whole thing collapsed, and I got washed down the hill. So tell me in the chat, which of those three things do you think is the lie? A, I sang "We Are Family" on stage with Sister Sledge. B, I was detained in an Atlanta prison after sneaking into the Olympic Village. Or C, one time I was in an above ground pool, the whole thing collapsed, and I got washed down the hill. Oh my God, you guys are blowing up the chat. This is awesome. Okay, so Bradley thinks that I was not detained in Atlanta. Adam doesn't believe that I got washed down the hill. We got a lot of A's, we got a lot of B's. You guys are really split. It's a little hard to tell. But here's the lie. First of all, I did sing "We Are Family" with Sister Sledge, and it was, speaking of global things, at the Global Family Reunion. It was amazing. And I did get washed down the hill after swimming in an above ground pool. I'm a klutz, but I had nothing to do with that. So no, I was not detained in Atlanta, but I did sneak into the Atlanta Olympics, the Atlanta Olympic Village. So I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that. So great job. That's kind of the sense of how it's going to go. So, so I'm going to bring up our first performer. Unfortunately, she was impacted by the storm, and so she's not going to be able to join us live because she lost power, but she is a trooper, and she sent us video. And so she is, let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a rising fourth-year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. She spent the summer working with us. So spent the summer working virtually at Temple Micah in Washington, D.C. And last year, she traveled with a group of rabbinical, cantorial, education, and nonprofit students from Hebrew Union College to India. Now, her two truths and a lie are as follows. You do not have to answer them right now. Just keep it stewing in the old noggin, and then I will bring it back after her blessing. A, she learned how to fly a helicopter before she learned how to drive a car. B, she was born with 6 toes. Or C, once a month, she has a dream that features, okay, I missed this part of my, Josh, will you put it in the chat? Because I'm missing a part of the, it's a cliffhanger, everybody. She has a dream that features, I don't know, clouds, clowns, lamps, who knows? Al Pacino, okay. That's actually the truth. All right, so I'll make a note of that. And in the meantime, we have her on video. Please welcome Rabbi Becky J.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky J, and I am so happy to be here with you. I'm sorry that this is pre-recorded. A hurricane came just a few hours before this is supposed to start and knocked out all our power. But I'm able to still be with you here, and for that I am truly grateful. It was about a year ago that I went on my first trip to or my first JDC Entwine trip to India, and it was such an incredible experience, and I still cannot find ways to describe that experience today, even a year later. And I'm saying this because I just want to express a note of gratitude to all of the beautiful stories and experiences that I personally have been able to listen to, and also the ways in which I can see in the chat on the webinar how people are lifting each other up in our community through emojis or affirmations. This has been an incredible experience for me to listen to the experiences and learn from people who I would probably never meet, and has really, for me, filled an empty space that has been kind of in my heart over the past few months of this pandemic time. And in that vein, for this blessing, to bless the stories that people have shared and that we have listened to, I could not help but think of one of my favorite poets and theologians, John O'Donohue, of blessed memory, who wrote a book called To Bless the Space Between. And when I think about how incredible this experience has been for me, this variety hour experience, and the journeys that I've gone on by virtue of through your stories, that has really been the air that has filled that space, that empty space for me, space I didn't even know was empty. And I found that that was also the case when I was in India, that experience had filled the space between for me in ways that I didn't know existed. And so in that vein, I share this blessing with you, and an eternal note of gratitude for everything that everyone has shared that I will take with me forever. To bless the space between, A blessing for the words that we've shared, not knowing how they will reach the ears to which they travel. To bless the space between, to the smiles unseen behind the screens that allow us a vision behind a world that we may otherwise not have been able to experience. To bless the space between, the memories, the tears, the photos, the lyrical poetry of a life, of lives that are not mine, but rather my distinct honor to witness. To bless the space between, to know that in this life, if only for 1 second, my hands have known the unique responsibility of holding the stories that you have told, those that you have gifted to us, those that may remind us of the humility of feeling and being, one human being feeling proud to exist alongside another. To bless this empty space, the space in between, filled with the courage to take one step forward, to trust and lift, to create a tradition that others may follow. To bless the space between, those that still remain empty because they have not yet known the journeys and selves that your stories will bring them. To bless the space between, how in sharing our stories and selves, we have taught and learned from each other, took chances on each other, so that one day they may return the favor to someone else, a complete stranger, now made whole, in your honor, all because your story, you have trusted us to hold with delicate care that which remains sacred to your very being, the continuing genesis of your soul. To hold the space between, that is a friendly countenance to the world, lucky enough to receive its light as a blessing for the hopes and dreams, the mistakes and lessons that we've learned and shared, to the spaces filled with clapping emojis, ice cream glasses, and chat greetings from grandparents. To bless the space between, a blessing for the emptiness that you have filled, for the space in between, a poignant reminder of the beauty in our shared humanity, a reminder of the spark that you have enlivened in me through the receiving of a part of you, a gift that I may share to another, so you may always grace the world with your blessings of bringing us closer despite the space in between.
Okay, is anybody else for clumps? That was absolutely beautiful. And I feel like it completely captures the spirit of not just storytelling, but the whole reason that we are here together tonight, today, whatever time zone you're in. And Becky just really embodied so much of why storytelling is so important and how I feel like so much more connected to her and to all of you because of the way that she described what the meaning of our stories are and the meaning of this moment in our lives. So, so thank you so much, Becky. Let's give her some applause in the chat. Yes, it was truly amazing. I have to say, when she mentioned ice cream glasses last night, I put them on because why not? But I have been hosting a storytelling show for the past 9 years called Yum's the Word, that features my homemade ice cream cakes. And I found out today when Becky lost power that the first thing she took care of was finishing all the ice cream in her house. And I thought, that's my kind of girl. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, so going back to her 2 truths and a lie, tell me in the chat, which of the following do you think is the lie? A, she learned how to fly a helicopter before she learned how to drive a car. B, she was born with 6 toes. Or C, once a month, she has a dream that features Al Pacino. Let us know what you think. And We will, and yes, thank you, Debbie. It was absolutely beautiful. All right, we've got some C's. We've got, so far I see A's and C's. I see a B here. C more like every night. I've had crazy dreams during the pandemic. Lots of C's here. All right, well, moment, I don't like to say moment of truth, I say moment of lie. She was not born with 6 toes. So, all right, our first storyteller for the evening, I have had the great pleasure of working with over these past few months, and she is a complete dynamo. She is a chef and food expert who works with celebrity chefs from all around the world. You may have seen, she works for the Food Network, and she frequently appears on many cooking shows. Her first cookbook, La Latina, is available on Amazon, and she is now working on her next book, and she's going to tell you about her travels with JDC Entwine in just a second. Before we do that, her 2 truths and a lie are as follows. And again, hold your answers until after her story. A, she's an only child. B, she lived in New Zealand for 4 years. Or C, she was born in Venezuela. Please give a very warm welcome to Grace Ramirez. Yay!
Hi guys. I mean, this is very exciting, and you know, I'm a bit nervous. It's been, you know, we started doing this a while back, and now then, you know, the C word happened, like you said, Robin, and it's been some very intense couple of months for me. I've been leading the World Central Kitchen initiative here in New York. So we've served over 7.1 million meals up to date, and I work a lot. It's been very overwhelming. I had COVID myself. So it's, you know, it's been, when they said, please let's do this, I was like, okay, but I'm pretty busy these days. So we're going to talk about Ethiopia, which for me, you know, it's funny because every time I would have moments where I'm like, what is going on? I was feeling really down and exhausted and devastated. I would look at the photos of Ethiopia to give me strength. And I'm so super grateful to the JDC Entwine. And for reality, I've been on a JDC trip, and I've been on a reality JDC Entwine trip. And I'm so super grateful for these trips because they have been indeed life-changing. You know, they have been everything I expected and more. I love going in them because every time I come back a different person, and I'm somebody who travels a lot. I will tell you a little bit more about it, but I first wanted to express my gratitude to this community for embracing me, that I love so much, that I'm so super grateful for. I've had opportunities that I would have never had in my life if it wasn't for this community, and I couldn't be more grateful, you know. So I wrote a beautiful story down. I would try to remember it. I might have to look at my notes because I have a lot of things that I don't want to forget to say. So I apologize. And I didn't, Robin, I'm sorry I didn't do my homework like I was supposed to, but today was a storm, and we had to reroute a lot of meals. Supposedly I was going to have the day booked to really rehearse, and we had to reroute over 5,000 meals to places that we thought were open and they weren't. But I'll do my best, and I'm here with so much gratitude and so much love, and I will try to communicate what an amazing trip Ethiopia was for me. You know, I had never been to Africa before, and I remember I travel so much that when I went to Ethiopia for the last 3 months, I had been to over 50 countries and over 150 cities. And I was like, I got this, you know, I just show up. That's what I usually do. I have my thing, I put it on my calendar. Oh, now I'm going to Ethiopia. So I had not even literally, like, my friend who was going on the trip, she was like, you know, you're supposed to get a visa. I was like, if I can do it there, I'll just wait. I'll just wing it. I go like I always do. And supposedly I was going to do that. I had been on airplanes for more than 24 hours. I had horrible turbulence in Frankfurt. I was in a layover of Frankfurt, and let's just put it this way: I had come from Germany to Africa. So when I landed, in Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia, I couldn't feel more shocked. First of all, it was midnight. I was exhausted, and I just didn't plan it. Again, I'm used to jumping on one plane to another, and I didn't plan it. But it was midnight, and then I arrived. This is pre-COVID, so I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm showing up in a country. I go, I get a taxi, I get an Uber. It's fine. Nothing will happen. And first of all, I come out and it's just so hot and overwhelming. And it's very like, the smell just hits you of like, it's like 120 degrees in this airport. There's no AC and it's pure chaos. And like 17 lines are going into one line and everyone's pushing each other. And I'm from Venezuela, people. Don't think that, that I'm not used to chaos and I'm used to traveling all over Latin America. But like, this was very extreme. And everyone's like, pushing each other and trying to get to the line to the thing that is going to give you the visa. I was like, why didn't I do the visa before? I was like, yes, because you didn't think this through, Grace. It's fine. So just so you know, it took me 3 hours to get through the line. And I'm like, okay, fine. At this point, it's very late. And, I finally get my luggage. I'm finally out. And of course, like all the help desks were closed. All the help centers were closed. Nobody could understand me. And at this point, I'm feeling scared. It's 2 a.m. I'm in Ethiopia. And where am I even going? So I pull up my notes, no cell phone service. And I'm like, okay, how in the world am I going to get to my hotel? Like I have no cell phone service. And feeling scared is a very foreign feeling to me because I'm never scared. I've traveled through 4 continents by myself. I have 4 food shows I do around the world, and I'm never scared to travel. My mom lives in Mexico. My family is in Venezuela. So I'm used to traveling. But this time I was like, oh, I didn't think this through. I'm in Africa. I'm in Ethiopia. And I'm overwhelmed. Like I didn't know what to do. Thank goodness an angel always comes. And it was a man who was from the States, knew the language, and said, I got you. Come ride with my chauffeur. We'll take you to the hotel. And I was trusting. I was like, fine. I mean, I have no other option but to sleep here. And it hit me, I was like, oh my goodness, I am in Ethiopia. It's my first time in Africa. But I remember lying in bed and saying, aren't we more alike than we are different? And don't we all come from Africa? And I'm determined to make this point. And I came here to help, and I came here to be of service. And I'm so thankful to be here. But I was lost in translation. I remember like, how am I going to behave? Am I supposed to greet people? Am I supposed to shake their hands? Am I supposed to kiss them? What am I supposed to do? But I woke up the next day and I knew that, for those of you who have not been on a JDC Entwine trip, and I've been to a JDC Entwine trip, and I've been on a JDC reality trip, they are life-changing and they're worth every second that you're in them. I'm so grateful for them. But, I had some reality JDC friends arriving that day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I have some friends coming. And we were arriving like 2 days prior before this, overwhelming trip starts, because once you're there, it's full on and you're like, go, go, go, go. And you really have no time to assimilate. So I just wanted to make sure, because I've made this mistake before, that I was going over my jet lag, right? And a friend of mine, Jessica, whom I adore, she's a foodie like myself in the food industry. She goes, I'm going to book us a food tour because we're identical. We're like, if we get to a place, we're going to go to a farmer's market. We're going to eat at a market. We're going to feel the vibe of the place out. And then we got this, right? So she booked us a food tour for a couple of us. And then I am, I'm like, we got this. It's another farmer's market. Well, is it a farmer's market? I was like, OMG. And mind you, like I have 4 food shows I do around the world for the Food Network, for the Cooking Channel, for Discovery in Espanol. So I've been to farmer's market. But talk about farm to table, talk about the extreme. First of all, in Ethiopia, nothing goes to waste. So this was an everything market. They were selling live animals, they were selling veggies, they were selling fresh herbs, but they were also selling like plastic and old plastic bottles and keys, all kinds of things, because they don't believe anything should go to waste. They either pawn them or turn them into something else. So they were selling all kinds of things. And our guide literally goes, first of all, guys, just remain close. Don't make eye contact. I'm the one who's supposed to talk on your behalf. And by, do not, under any circumstances, take your phone out. You're not allowed to take photos. It's very dangerous here. And I'm like, really? Come on, this is all a bit too extra for me. But it indeed was. It was like we needed to remain close. Everyone kept pushing each other. One of my friends got her hair pulled. And it felt like, I didn't know if it was cultural, but it felt like people were trying to get you, right? Like, I felt like they're trying to get me. They're trying to get my money. They're trying to get something out of me. And, it was indeed a very cultural thing, but it felt very overwhelming. And honestly, it was like, it was thrilling at the same time, because it was nothing like I had ever experienced. Like, and then we were ordering food, right? Because we're there on a mission. So we would order a fish, we would get a whole fish. We would order, so we were extremely encouraged to order like a very, traditional dish, which is like their steak tartare. But literally it's served like you have a cow that it's skinned in front of you, and they take a bit of it out and they put it on the plate, and they minced it. So they butcher and then put it right in front of you. And then everything is eaten with your hands. So I really didn't know how to behave. I didn't know how to eat with my hands. I was like, is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? How am I supposed to do this? What's culturally appropriate? I didn't want to be rude. And of course, I eat everything. I mean, I've eaten sweetbreads in Colombia, alligator in Cambodia, but nothing felt quite like this. And remember, these food stores do not have like the hygiene letter that is like A, B, C. And if they would have had like a Z, because it did feel like a zoo a little bit, right? It was like all this livestock, all these animals, and it was farm to table on steroids. But I said, I'm determined to find the common ground. I'm determined to find how we're more alike than we are different. And where our JDC Entwine trip started, all of my friends were there, some new friends, some old friends. And I was like, okay, here we go. And like the second day in, it was getting more extra by the minute. But like the second day, we all got on a 4x4 wheelers, and we went like 2 hours outside of the city to this very rural area. And it was very extreme, because you would see the roads filled with women with just kind of like being this matriarch figure, but with huge baskets on top and sticks and baskets, and kind of like, but at the same time being so graceful and just keeping it together. Like the children were making sure they were following her, the animals were following her, and they were carrying all this heavy baskets and sticks and whatever it was. And then I learned later that the women are usually the ones who carry the heavy burden, which is very different from my culture, because usually is the men, and the women are more in the house, just doing the cooking and cleaning and lots of other stuff, but not carrying the heavy lifting. But then we arrived to the farm. It was a women's own farm, and the JDC has done an amazing job basically encouraging and getting these women farmers to come together and installing drip irrigation systems. And we arrived into like a little oasis. Right, it seemed like right outside it was chaos. It was donkeys and cows and all this chaos. And then in this little farm, it was manicured. It was beautiful. The drip irrigation system was working its magic. Their productivity had gone up 1,000%. And there were these gorgeous women just picking their peppers and their tomatoes. And I felt right at home. I was like, I got this. I lived in New Zealand. I'm used to farming. How can I help? So we helped, and we were picking the peppers from them, and we were bonding these way. And I feel so grateful to be there with them, just to be a little bit of help. And then we were told that we needed to go to another market to go sell the crops. And I was like, oh my God, no, not another market. I don't know if I can handle it. It's a bit much. But okay, here I am. I'm determined to, I am determined to find this connection with this land, which I feel like I always do. And I'm always on that mission. And I just want to be of service to the community. So we went, and yeah, it was a very different market. Indeed, it was more in a rural area. It was not in the middle of this chaotic city. But it was kind of like you would enter this field, and it was to the left were the men handling the livestock, and to the right were the women handling the veggies, right? These women are dressed so beautiful, and you can tell how they're so proud of their crops, and they're selling that with so much grace and love. And to me, that moment became very special, because it was like, it's like I feel about cooking, right? I'm so proud of it. I'm expressing my love for my culture. I'm honoring the vegetables. I'm honoring the food, and I'm just expressing my love through food. And I was like, okay, here we are. I'm finding a connection with them. And then, I was determined to capture the moment, because it was so beautiful, and it was so special to me. And again, it was like they were carrying a sack of potatoes, and it felt like how I feel when I'm carrying, a sack of potatoes up and down these stairs in New York, in a New York kitchen. But yet I'm so proud, and I'm like, I got this, I can do this, and I'm strong, and I'm powerful. And then, I really wanted to capture the moment, and our guide was nowhere to be found. I wanted to be super respectful of the moment. I wanted to make sure that they did feel comfortable. So I took a photo of myself, and I show it to them, a selfie. And I said, kind of in sign language, can I take a photo of you? And they said yes, and they smiled. And I took a photo of them, and they started giggling. And then more women started gathering, and they were like, take another one. And I was like mesmerized how happy and how excited they were of us having this bonding moment over a photograph. And later I learned from our guide that most of these women don't have a mirror. They very rarely do they see themselves in any sort of form, right? They don't have a mirror, they don't have a camera. So it was beautiful for them to see themselves. And we kept giggling and having this moment. And that's when I felt really connected. And I was like, you're one. And I want to read you guys the last little bit that I wrote, because I'm not going to say it as I wrote it. But it was that moment where I felt we all come from Africa. We're all one. And I was so grateful, because I finally found that true bond. And then, it was pure magic. It was like, oh my God, I thank you for giving me this moment. And I'll read you the little piece that I wrote. And it goes like this. It was the first time experiencing so much love and openness from a group of women whom I just met, and I don't even speak my language. They don't even speak my language. It was so powerful and life-changing. From the outside, it seems they don't have much. But when you get close and you realize they have so much more than us, so much to give, and so many powerful lessons to teach us. In their culture, they're the ones who carry all the heavy burden, and they do it with so much love, dignity, and grace. They're women of faith, they're full of hope, and they believe the future is bright and that the best is yet to come. I'm in awe of what JDC Entwine is doing for this community, for these women. Their main focus is to create tools together with the community in an inclusive and culturally sensitive manner that empowers them to create and implement new solutions to overcome the challenges they faced. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my story, and thank you.
Thank you, Grace. That was beautiful. And we actually have a photo to share with everybody. So if we can pull that up, that is from the market. right? The second market, obviously. So, and I just love how you're beaming, and they all, if you look around that image, you can see all the women looking at the camera so proudly, and you obviously had a big impact on them as well as them having on you, clearly. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story, and I'm glad that you're healthy, and thanks for all the hard work that you're doing with World Central Kitchen. And
Thank you.
don't worry about, you have the best excuse out of anybody for like not doing your homework because you're continuing to make an impact on people's lives. Okay, so to go over Grace's 2 truths and a lie, and feel free to enjoy the love in the chat that you're seeing there. A, is Grace an only child? B, did she live in New Zealand for 4 years? Or C, was she born in Venezuela? So let us know what you think. And we have a link to World Central Kitchen too. Andrew thinks A, Bradley says A. People don't think that you're an only child. Mostly A's here. All right, Grace, what is the lie?
I'm not born in Venezuela. I was born in Miami, but I am an only child. I was actually born in Miami, yeah. My family's from Venezuela.
Ah, gotcha. Well, thank you again, Grace. I loved working with you. We will absolutely stay in touch, and beautiful job once again. So our next performer grew up in a multiracial Chabad family in Muncie. He is a rabbinic scholar and public affairs advisor at the Jewish Federations of North America, and he traveled with Entwine to Rwanda and Ethiopia. He volunteered in India, and 2 years he served as a community rep. Please give a warm welcome to Rabbi Isaiah Rothstein.
Hi, friends. I wish I could see you in person. Listen, sometimes I'm known to be dramatic, but I really mean this following statement. JDC Entwine changed my life. I'm so grateful to Entwine. I learned so much through my experiences, and specifically with music. I brought my guitar with me everywhere I went. The idea of musical currency and connecting with people with this universal language. It's a gift that I'm so indebted to Entwine for, so thank you so much. And I'm honored to share with you a song that I wrote about 1.5 years ago, really about this moment. In many ways, it's a freedom song. I kind of picture it in a musical. Maybe it would be like, that moment when, right before the Exodus, before the splitting of the sea, when people are actually marching out of Egypt, or like maybe in the Purim story when Esther and Mordecai are victorious, but it's kind of a freedom song for me. And it's a reminder, like I've learned so much from my time with Entwine and the different places and the countries that I visited, that is that we could all teach each other something, that in many ways I thought I was going to offer certain things, and in other ways I received so much more. And so those gifts I hold on with me as I go through my life today. Ezehu Chacham, who is wise, Hamalid Mikol Adam, people who learn from everyone. So I'll say to you, oh, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Oh, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Oh, brother, please take my hand. Yes, sister, help me understand, and yes, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Oh, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Yeah, so it goes like devastation reigns, morality's been slain, so much going on in my brain. It's insane, performing past imperfections from a life that isn't me. Uncle Sam's demands constitutional casualties. It's time we start to bring the thunder. Why wonder we wait in the streets, complicate our fate left asunder. So take my hand, fam, it's time we split the sea. We march at dawn, united strong, we're destined to achieve. Siblings, please take my hand, yeah, family, help me understand and show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Oh, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. Oh, so here's the thing I know know you tried, but you lied. If you think this is freedom for my kind, it's a sign you're denying. Equality's just things I can't imagine. How can I breathe on my knees? Yeah, no place to stand. I'm called to the stand. Those bound by a covenant to lift the stranger. Keep love on the up again. If you're stranded at a landing, I will throw you a rope. I'll be your shoulder, make you bolder. Every chord key and note. And hope heals the horrible. Old feelings will be new. Conclusions to confusions, but dang, there's so much left to do. Please take my hand, and siblings, oh, help me understand and show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. So maybe put it in the chat. What are things that you learned? What are things that people who showed you the way? What are things you learned through Entwine? Oh, and I know, however you can show us the way, and show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. We all have something to show each other. And I think through the expansiveness of our global Jewish community and the impact of JDC Entwine, we remind each other that we all have something that we can learn from one another, that we can bring to one another. And we need that more than ever in this world to show us the way. There's a way that you can show us the way. Each of us have something to offer in that way. And I want to remind us to show us the way. Thank you so much. It's good to be here with everyone.
That was beautiful, Isaiah. You can put your mic back on because we are gonna chit chat really.
Oh, let's do it. That sounds great.
Awesome. I want you to show me the way. I'm like, you're so inspiring. So I wanted to find out which of the following is the lie for Isaiah's two truths and a lie. A, is he related to Stevie Wonder by marriage? B, did he get called on stage to play guitar at a Green Day concert? Or C, did he work with horses in high school? Tell us in the chat. I'll repeat that. Is he related to Stevie Wonder by marriage? Did he get called on stage to play guitar at a Green Day concert?
Love this. This is always
C,
so fun.
What's
I
that?
wish we were on a bus right now. Don't you wish we were on a bus? Two truths and a lie. Okay,
I
sorry.
think that would be so much fun. I'd love to travel with you. You seem like a blast.
We would have fun.
Or C, did he work with horses in high school? So let's see what people are. Nobody believes that you worked with horses in high school. We've got a bunch of C's, couple of A's.
Wait, so everyone thinks that I was on stage with Green Day. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Now I gotta
for
be
Leba. Leba is,
Sorry.
maybe she was affected by the hurricane. I'm teasing. So what is the lie, Isaiah?
Yeah, so my uncle, Curtis Robertson, was married to Sarita White, who was married to Stevie Wonder. She passed away. So she is, my aunt through marriage. And then when I was 16 or 17, growing up in Muncie, New York, there was a guy who had like this moving petting zoo. So I worked for him for like 2 or 3 summers in Muncie, New York. He also owned like a pizza shop. He was like he had like a lot of different stuff going on. I like.
Was it a pizza shop petting zoo? Like a pizza shop?
No, I think he's
separate entities.
Just hustling, you know. Sometimes.
Totally.
I think the moving petting zoo for camps was his side hustle, to be honest.
Okay.
Anyway, and then I've never been to a Green Day concert. I've liked a few Green Day songs. I think if I were to be invited on stage for any band, I don't even know, but that would be great. Like that'd be a lot of fun to rock out. Probably with the Allman Brothers, that would be a lot of fun. Allman Brothers band.
Yeah, sure.
Green Day too.
Awesome. So you're part of a band called Zaya, which is inspired by your name, that incorporates, so for those of you who are watching, it incorporates Isaiah's childhood experiences with diverse musical traditions. And you can check out Rabbi Isaiah's music. We're putting the links in the chat. You can also find his albums. So that will be up in just a minute. And thank you so much for that beautiful song, Isaiah. And give it up one more time for Isaiah Rothstein.
Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. This was
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. And thank you all for being so lively and engaged in the chat. We really, really appreciate it. So I'm actually going to tell a story tonight as well. I just want to make sure you can see me, because right now in speaker view, I'm seeing Isaiah. So tell me in the chat if you can see me, or somebody can let me know that they can see me. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm one of probably the few people who wants to see themselves when they're performing, just to make sure that all is good. So, I mean, I'm happy to like have Isaiah's photo up and then do a voiceover behind it. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording my story. Okay, so a year ago, I'm sitting on a plane, remember planes? And I am contemplating doing something that I have never done before. And I'm scared, and I don't know how it's gonna go over, but I have to go for it because I just wanna feel connected to people again. See, a few months earlier, my boyfriend and I had broken up, so I was feeling really low. For over a year, I'd been working from home, and at the time, I became such good friends with my UPS driver, George, that I invited him home for Passover with his wife. And it's not like I live down the street. I grew up in the Hartford area. So George and his wife and I drove up to Hartford, and I brought him to his very first Passover Seder. So needless to say, like, I was feeling like pretty low. I was also feeling like I was doing like this self-isolation thing before it was a thing. And I also had this feeling about how the country, has been so divided, and how people their heads are just buried in their phones all the time. And I just wanted to do something where I felt connected to people again. So I'm sitting on this plane, and it's a really small flight. There are maybe like 40 people on it. I'm flying from St. Louis back to New York City. It's a Thursday evening, and there's mostly like business people on this flight. And I honestly feel like I'm on a flight of people from the UN. Like, there are people from all over the place on this plane. So I take out this small notebook, and at the top I write, "Let's create a story together." And I write that I want to have all of us, like, the whole idea of this is to have fun. The whole idea is to like write, like have people like add one word at a time, so that, or they can write a few phrases. It's like you can write as much or as little as you want. I really don't care. But my hope is that by the end of the flight, that I can go up in front of the plane and read this over the PA, which is insane. I'm very well aware of that. But I was like, I just want to have this like cool shared experience with these people. And so I wrote, once this reaches the back of the plane, please return this notebook to seat 10C. My name is Robin Gelfenbein. And I gave them my full name in case they wanted to like look me up and be like, who the hell is this nut job? But also know that like I'm a real person. It's not just like, my name's Robin, I'm some rando. So I'm really nervous because I'm like, I don't even know how people are going to feel about this. Like, I know I'm really outgoing and a lot of people aren't, but I still wanted to go for it. And I thought, I will be thrilled if like a sentence comes back. But I was like, maybe people, a few people will do it. But I was like, well, maybe some people are going to be like, screw you, lady, we're not doing this. Or I'll never see it again. Or it'll come back with like, like phallic symbols in there, whatever. So I turn to the man sitting to my left, and I say to him, I've never done anything like this, and I explain what it is. And I said, but I just want to see if you wanted to be a part of it. And I had written, once upon a time, there was a woman who, just so I could get the ball rolling. And he looks at me and he says, sure. And I'm like, shut up. Like, I was like, I cannot believe that this is like, he's agreeing to this. And so he writes down, had lunch in the park, and he hands it back to me and he goes, is this okay? I said, yeah. it's great. I mean, he could have written something in Hebrew, like I didn't care, you know? So and the way that I wrote it was in such a way that people who are introverts wouldn't have to really engage with other passengers. They could just pass the notebook because I had explained everything really clearly. So I say to him, would you mind just passing it across the aisle? Now, sitting across the aisle from this man and me was this woman, and she is hunched over her laptop, clickety clackety, clickety, like she's super intense, and she's clearly busy. And I'm thinking, she is not going to go for this. I don't. Ugh, this is. So I say, you know, would you mind passing it to her? And he's like, I'd rather not. And I can't blame him. So I feel kind of badly though. So like I kind of like lean over, and you know, there's all this white noise on the plane. And so I say to him, so I'm like, excuse me, saying to this lady. She looks up and she's like, yeah. And I explain what I'm doing, and she goes, all right. And I'm like, no way, I can't believe this lady's gonna do it. So she fills it out and she like hands it right back. And I say to her, can you just like pass it forward? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, fine. So then the man in front of me is fast asleep. So now I'm trying to contact the woman who's like diagonal from me, and so and also be quiet so I don't wake up this man. And I'm like, excuse me. And I tell this woman sitting catty corner from me what I want, you know, what I'm doing. And she's like, yeah, that sounds super fun. I was like, sweet. So I hand it to her, and then she goes to hand it back. I ask her to pass it on. And from that point on, it's out of my hands. And I am so excited because I can't believe that this thing is like now taking on a life of its own. Because the last thing that I wanted to do was like have to babysit this notebook. You know, I didn't want to go like row to row and be like, hi, my name is Robin, and explain the whole thing a million times. And also say like, and while you fill that out, you know, if you want me to take your trash, I'd be happy to do that. And the other thing I didn't want to do was like draw attention to myself from the flight attendant, because there was one flight attendant on this plane. So about like 45 minutes later, the notebook makes its way back, and it is in the hands of intense lady. And she looks up and she goes, I already did it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. And so she hands it to me. I send it behind me, explain what I'm doing. It only maybe goes like 2 rows before it ends up back in my hands. And I'm like, oh shoot, you know, I guess I'm gonna have to take this to the back of the plane. And I look to my left, and the man sitting there says, he is fast asleep. And I'm like, oh geez, I don't really want to wake this man up. You know, I feel so badly, but I drink a ton of water. So I was like, I do have to go to the bathroom. So I tap him on the shoulder, and he lets me out, and I head to the back of the plane, and I'm talking to these 2 men. They're super into it. And I was like, this is great. And then I go back to my seat, and another 45 minutes pass. And the whole time I'm like, my heart's racing. I'm like so excited. I don't know what's going to be in there. And finally the notebook lands back in my hands, and I am excited. And this is the first time I'm actually reading the story. So I read the story. I would say maybe like a quarter of the passengers had filled it out. So there were like 13 or 14 people who did it. And so now I'm like, okay, like now I have to run. Like I want to see if I can do it on the PA, because we all just came up with this story. And by the way, a lot of the story made absolutely no sense, but I was like, I don't care. It's not the point of this, you know, experience. So I run to the front of the plane. I introduce myself to Valentino, who's the flight attendant, and I tell him what I'm doing. And then I say, do you want to be part of it? And he's like, no. And I'm like, fine, no problem. And I said to him, I was wondering if I would be able to read this over the PA. And there is this long pause, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna totally chew me out. He's gonna be like, are you high, lady? It's against federal regulations. Like, what is the matter with you? You're insane. And then he looks at me and he says, well, how long is it gonna take? And I'm like, I said, I don't know, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And he says, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe he says yes to this. So I asked him if I can just get my phone, because I wanted to record some piece of this. And so I run back to my seat, and no sooner than I've turned on my heels, I hear
ladies and gentlemen, there is a woman who would like to read a story you all created.
And I was like, holy shit, holy shit. So I get my phone, I run back to the front of the plane and hand him my phone to start recording. And I stand up in front of everybody and he hands me this cradle, the PA, and it's like a phone, it's like a landline phone cradle. This plane is so freaking old. And it's like from the 1960s. And so in the middle is where you press down to talk into the microphone. So I'm standing there and I was like, hi, everybody, I'm Robin. I'm the woman from seat 10C, and, introduce myself. As soon as I do this, phones go up like crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't even think that was going to happen, but of course it happened. So I start reading this story, and instantly I hear, wee, wee, wee. So I'm getting like feedback from this fakakta thing. And I'm so frustrated. And Valentina was like, why don't you sit down? I'm like, no, I want to see the people. Like, we put this, we created this together. And so I sit down for like a second. I'm like, this is not going to work. And so get back up. There's still some feedback, but it finally subsides. And then we hit turbulence. So I am like holding like the notebook in one hand. I've got the phone in the other. And I am like bouncing around, reading the story that we've created together. And it's at this point where I am so grateful that I rarely touch the subway poles, and that I'm used to like balancing using my core and my quads. To finish the story, I head back to my seat. And as I'm walking, one woman stops me and she says, I wrote the part about the Martians. And I go, oh, I love that part. And then I keep walking and a man stops me and he says, I wrote the part about the meatball sub. I said, oh, I love how the meatball sub came back at the end. That was awesome. And then I take a few more steps and this man looks at me and he says, Robin, I had the hardest week at work and I dreaded getting on this flight, but you just completely restored my faith in humanity. And I almost burst into tears. I wanted to hug this man, and not just because he was incredibly hot. I was just so moved by what he said. And so I sit back down and I am, the man to my left says that he's taken some photos and he's like, would you like them? I'm like, yes. And then a man behind me has taken video and he sends me that. And, oh, and by the way, as soon as I was done with my story, the pilots came on and they're, ladies and gentlemen, we will be landing shortly. And I was like, holy shit, like they waited for me to finish the story so that the passengers could hear the end. And I bet you like the co-pilots were like, what the hell's going on back there? Or the pilots were. So anyways, I'm sitting there in my seat. And as we make our descent into LaGuardia, I am so overwhelmed with emotion. I loved that the people who participated in this felt so seen and so heard, and that they felt like they were part of something bigger than themselves. And the entire experience made me feel less alone and way more connected to humans again. And to my great surprise, this whole experience completely restored my faith in humanity too. Thank you. I would like you to know, I call that, thanks for whoever's applauding in the background. I call that story Connecting Flights. Hey, because I like puns. Or I like to call it a moving story, because I have since done this. I did it on Metro North in a different way. I didn't announce it, but I did it on commuter trains on Father's Day and on Mother's Day, asking people what they love or loved about their moms or their dads. And I'm so passionate about connecting people, and that's just one way that I love to do it. So, okay, so if you like that story and you want to hear more of my stories, you can visit my website, robingelfenbein.com, which will be, and thank you, Bradley, and Debbie for the nice, and Jillian, Andrew, thanks for all the nice things that you're saying in the chat. It really means a lot to me. So thanks, Rebecca. Oh, and maybe I'll put it on the JDC Entwine on social somewhere, because I have the whole thread if you want to read the story and see video of me reading this story. It's very silly. But anyway, so if you are interested in storytelling, and you can chat with me. I have been hosting a kids show during the pandemic, which is now on hiatus, but it's going to be back in the fall, called Recess with Auntie Robin. So if you want to see anything connected to that or my hosting or whatever, it's all on my website. And if you want to also hear more funny true stories, they are on the podcast that I have and on our YouTube channel for Yums the Word. So, all right, so I am going to bring up our next performer. Calix is a Weitzman JDC Fellow and third-year cantorial student at Hebrew Union College. In 2019, they traveled on the same trip for Jewish professionals as Becky, our rabbi, at the beginning. And they write original Jewishly inspired music and have an album written during quarantine. So we're gonna put a link to their Facebook fan page in just a little bit, and then we'll get to their Two Truths and a Lie in just a moment too. In the meantime, please give a very warm welcome to Calix Jacobson.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and preface this song by saying this isn't about me. It's written for someone I'm gonna call M. Having been the resident queer friend for half of my life, I've gotten a lot of people coming to me regarding all sorts of LGBT stuff, and M was one of them. I had an inkling about her since we met, and over time we became a lot closer, and then she eventually came out to me earlier this year in February, and shortly thereafter to all of our friends, and then publicly. M comes from a very liberal part of the country with generally liberal parents, and coming out was surprisingly a bit of a problem. Her parents would tell her that they understood her, and then they would push back on identity and reality, telling her not to go public, saying she should have warned them before doing a pride service in her home synagogue, all sorts of stuff. And this is where this song comes in. A lot of people write journals. I write songs. And I decided to step into M's shoes and write a song to her mom on her behalf after a particularly frustrating conversation, telling her coming out story and asking for acceptance. And with her permission, I share it with y'all. This is called See Me. When I was young, I would go out onto the stage and play a part. And there was a moment I felt myself in such a way. I knew in my heart she was beautiful. She was beautiful. And I kissed her for everyone to see. And so began years of repression, putting it back so I didn't have to deal. Till one day I couldn't hide anymore, burst forth from the door and spoke something real. And you say that you love me, you say that you understand, but I don't think that you can see me.
Oh my gosh, Calix, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
My pleasure, truly.
Oh my gosh, it was so moving. Um, I'm definitely going to be following you on Facebook. So
Please do.
we're gonna put that in the chat in just a second. But in the meantime, for Calix's two truths and a lie, does Calix play 7 instruments, 9 if you count variations? Does Calix have a pet snake? Or has Calix been songwriting for 2 years? I actually don't know the lie. So A, have they been playing 7 instruments, 9 if you count variations? B, do they have a pet snake? Or C, have they been songwriting for 2 years? Let's see, we got a lot of B's here.
A lot of bees. Not a lot of snake lovers in here.
No. I agree with you, Susie. Very beautiful words.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Andrew, aka my friend Sarah, really enjoyed it as well, and so did Bradley. So all right, we got a lot of B's. So, and Bradley thinks B too. So what is it, Calix?
Okay. I do play 7 instruments, 9 if you count variations. My pet snake's name is Lev. I have been songwriting for 16 years.
Wow. Well,
it's a long time.
It's obvious. You're very, very talented.
Thank you.
So, and so you can follow Calix on social. We'll put that in the chat. I know it's already up there.
It's in the chat, yes.
But one more time, again, I give so much love for Calix Jacobson. Thank you so much, Calix.
Thank you so much.
All right, our final storyteller for the show is somebody who I have absolutely loved working with. He is an LA-based professional with a background in education and project management. He is so passionate about designing better ways to educate, serve, and work. And he was a Jewish Service Corps Fellow. You'll find out where in just a few minutes. Please give a very warm welcome to Tuli Skaist.
Thank you. This is a fun experience. I'm enjoying a beverage. Is anyone else doing this while enjoying a beverage? Maybe let us know in the chat what you're drinking. If you're drinking a cocktail, perhaps you can share the recipe. I'm drinking a hazy pale ale by Fremont, and I believe that some of the proceeds from this can goes to saving the whales. So this is what I call drinking for for social justice.
With a porpoise.
Yeah. Anyway, I do what I can. What can I say? All right. Can we? I just want to point out how I'm sure you all know this, but kind of delivering a story or doing anything while looking at the little hole on top of your laptop is not easy. And that makes all of the previous performers even more impressive in my eyes. This is not a way of me to tell you that, to tell you how impressed you should be with me, but just a way of really showing appreciation for what they've done. I think they were absolutely phenomenal. My story really starts just a few years ago when me and my wife Ruthie were preparing to leave our home in Los Angeles and go spend 2 years living in Turkey, where we were both going to be Jewish Service Corps Fellows. That's a JDC program, an Entwine JDC program. And we were feeling excited. I was certainly excited. I was also very nervous. I'm pretty American, and I'm also pretty Jewish. And going to live in Turkey, in a Muslim country, in a country I knew really very little about, was somewhat nerve-wracking. I have to tell you. I remember at first, a friend of mine asked me what language they spoke in Turkey, and I swear I had to Google it. I'm not proud of that. And by the way, if any of you are wondering, it's Turkish. A little bit before our trip, I called up Joey Leskin, who was the previous Jewish Service Corps Fellow, and he was finishing up his 2 years in Istanbul. And I said, Joey, I have a few questions. I mean, first of all, I needed to know, what do I need to pack? Do I need to bring toilet paper? Do I need to bring toothpaste? What's the deal? What happens in Turkey? I know nothing about the place. So he calmed me down. He said, look, you really don't need anything. You could get anything here except for, you know, politics and other things about the way the country runs, but we'll leave that for a different time. He said, you really get anything here. And then I said, well, Joey, you know, there's this one thing I've been thinking about a little bit. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit it, but, you know, haircuts are really important to me. I take great care at cultivating a relationship with my barber. And, you know, I'm a little bit nervous about that. I don't speak the language. I don't know the culture. What's it like getting a haircut in Turkey? And Joey just, you know, he pointed up to his beautiful man bun and basically told me, sorry, man, I can't really help you there. You're on your own. And, you know, so that's what happened. You know, a few weeks later, I found myself in Istanbul, which is just a monster of a city, an incredible, a beautiful city, a historic city. And as I started kind of acclimating and getting adjusted to daily life, this haircut issue kind of, you know, was there. It was there somewhere in the back of my mind. And as I was walking in my neighborhood and in different places in Istanbul, I started to look at the barber shops and to see, you know, hey, you know, which place has potential. In our neighborhood, I have to point out, there were a ton of barber shops. I mean, really, probably more Starbucks than you'd find on one block in New York City. Just a ton of barber shops, which made me even more confused. So as we're getting acclimated, I'm trying to blend in. I'm trying not to stick out. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be the American. I don't want to be the Jew. I didn't know anything. And so I'm kind of like, you know, walking by these barber shops and like peeking around, you know, just like trying to look inside, see what's happening, see what's going on. And you know, I have to tell you, I mean, it wasn't easy to see. And then I figured, hey, you know, I'm going to try to find people who are coming out of barber shops so that I can check out the finished product. Because if I see a finished product that I like, then that's a sign that it's a decent barbershop. And again, it was really hard. I have to tell you, it was really, really hard. I did not want to be a creep. I felt like a creep, didn't want to be one. But at some point, probably after about 6 weeks to 2 months that we were in Turkey, I saw this one shop. It was very close to our apartment. And I thought I noticed someone with a haircut who came out and it looked passable to me. It looked fine, you know, and I was like, okay, you know what, that's it. That's my Turkish Yelp. You know, that's how I'm using this guy looks great. I'm just gonna give it a shot. And like, I didn't even think about it too much. I just went in and I see this barber. He's kind of like a, I don't know, you know, middle-aged man, a little bit of a belly. And I gotta tell you, like an unruly haircut, which kind of reminded me of the fact that, like, you know, they say if you go to a restaurant and the chef is too skinny, then you need to ask questions. And this guy, you know, I was like, who cuts your hair? But anyway, he had a big smile. He just seemed really nice. And he just pointed to the chair and he goes, no problem. I was like, okay, you know what? There it goes. So I open up, I spoke not maybe 2 words of Turkish at that point. So I open up my phone. I find a picture where maybe you could kind of see me with my haircut. And I try to point to some things using my hands, not the easiest thing to do. And again, no problem. He puts on the little barber bib and off we go. And I have to tell you that what happened next is almost a little bit difficult for me to describe, and you might not even believe me. Because at one point during the haircut, he takes out what I thought was a lighter, a cigarette lighter. It was a cigarette lighter, actually. Yeah, that's what it was. And he starts lighting my ears on fire. Like, 1, 2, 3. And it was like, before I could say anything, I was like, what was it? Lit my ears on fire. It hurt a little bit, I have to tell you, but you know, only mild burns, I think. He puts it. I think he noticed that I was a little bit freaked out, and again, he just looks at me. He goes, "No problem." Next, I was like, "Okay, I guess we're done." Then he takes out this roll of what looked like it was like thread. Now, I'd never seen this before, but he like takes it out and he starts doing this thing with his teeth. and he starts doing this thing on my face. I didn't even know what that was. Later I learned it's called threading. So he was threading the sides of my face. It was not painful. Let me just put it that way. Again, huge smile on his face. I think he was really proud of his work. No problem. Finally, we're getting to the end of this haircut. I'm like kind of ready to go home. I'm really questioning not only that haircut, but many life decisions that I'd made up until that point in that chair. And I see that there's a sink, and I thought that anyone who's been to a salon or a barber shop where they wash your hair in a normal place in America, you usually lean back. But all of a sudden, he just shoves my face down forward. And literally the only thing that entered my mind was, I guess I'm being waterboarded right now. This is what it's like. I just don't know what else to think. Washes my face, I think, and my hair. I think he washed my face with conditioner, which I'm not a dermatologist, but it's not the best thing for your skin. Finally, he takes this towel, which, by the way, was just hanging out at the entrance to the shop, drying on this busy Istanbul street. He wipes me all off, looks at me, no problem, smiles. I pay him, and I leave the barbershop, and I'm just dazed. I'm confused. I don't know what happened. But I get home and I look in the mirror, and you know what? It wasn't bad. I mean, look, I had to fix a few things, and whatever, nothing's perfect, but it really was not a bad haircut. And 2 weeks later, at 25 Turkish liras plus tip, which is about $6, you can't beat it, I was back. And for the next 2 years, every other week, I went and got my haircut with Emre. Yeah, I learned that was his name. And every week there'd be something different. Every other week, every time I'd go, both with the haircut process itself and stuff in the shop. The next time I went there, he just gave me this menthol head massage, and it was a really cold day out. So when I left the barbershop, my head was freezing cold, very uncomfortable. I think the next week he tried this lemon product on my head. So I smelled like lemon for the next week, kind of like lemon that maybe a New York taxi cab would put on their dashboard. Not the most flattering thing. You could speak to my wife, Ruthie, about that. Then one day he looks at this thing and he goes, "Musk?" I was like, okay, I guess. And he's like, oh, and before I knew it, he puts a face mask on me, one of those, like a green colored skin thing, Majing. He puts on the mask. I couldn't even smile because it dried right away, and my face is stuck. And then he just leaves and goes and takes a smoke break as I'm just sitting there trying to take some selfies in the mirror because I'm like, oh wow, people will never ever believe what just happened. He comes back again, washes off my face with his smelly cigarette hands. And then there were other stuff in the barbershop. 1 week I went and there was a bird cage. And then the next time I came, the bird is just flying around the barbershop and he's laughing, no problem. And then the next time I came, there was a new bird. And I asked him, what happened to the old bird? And he goes, oh, he explains to me that the old bird escaped. Surprise, surprise. But look, slowly but surely, I actually got to know the man, and we'd talk about things. He'd tell me how he grew up in a city called Adana, and he'd tell me a little bit about his life. He'd ask me to set him up with American women, because apparently that's what I needed to do. He'd talk to me about bringing him back to the States with me. He'd say, I want to go to Las Vegas. And then one week he said, I want to go to Springfield, New Jersey. I don't know how he got that one, but he found it somehow. And, decided we'll go there. But we got to know each other, and I would practice my Turkish with him. So, one time I learned how to say, Emre, what's your favorite food? Hangi yemek en sevdiğim? And of course, like a good Turkish man, he replied, kebab. Of course. And then one week, I just, we were preparing for a trip to Switzerland. And I don't know why, but maybe people who have learned other languages might understand this. I was very proud about the fact that I learned the difference between Switzerland and Sweden in Turkish. And I said to him, I said, Emre, you know, biz İsviçre gidiyoruz. We're going to Switzerland next week. And I thought, I was like, you know, my Turkish is so perfect. And I was so proud of myself. And I thought he'd be so happy for me. But he gave me this look like, you're going to Switzerland. And then he said it. He's like, but Emre needs to stay here. And then I understood something a little bit deeper about what it means to be a working class Turkish person, and about how he is not afforded the same opportunities that I am. And even though I probably knew that, it just my relationship with Emre gave me such a deep and beautiful understanding into at least a part of Turkish culture that I never would have had without meeting him. So for 2 years, every other week, I got to see Emre. And the last time I saw him, right before we left, of course, the day before we left, I went to go get my haircut. Got to take advantage of the $6 haircuts and of seeing Emre before I prepare for, the $65 haircuts in Los Angeles. And, I said goodbye to him. I was like ready to get emotional. He wasn't too emotional. He wasn't even too sentimental. He's like, nah, you're going to come back. First he's like, take me with you. He's like, nah, you'll come back and visit. It'll be good. And, gave him a big hug, or actually it's 2 kisses in Turkey, really. That's the way it works. Or if you're really manly, you kind of just head bob each other. That's another story. So we did that, and I left back. And the truth is, we've been texting each other all the time. I mean, he's really the person that I keep in touch with the most. And usually our texts are like pretty simple, how you doing? He tells me how beautiful of a person I am. I tell him how beautiful of a person he is. And, those are kind of our exchanges. And once in a while, I'll send him a picture. And a few months ago, our son, Adir, was born. And I sent him a picture, and, he told me how beautiful that is and whatever. And then he told me to send him another picture of me. And again, this was like 2 months into quarantine. I had not gotten my hair cut in a while. And he responds with one word: problem. Thank you very much.
Oh, I love that story so much. And for those of you who are hearing me laugh, there were certain things I hadn't heard before, like Turkish yelp. So that's me like howling. Such a beautiful story. Thank you so much, Tuli. I love that Joey is here for this. I feel like I know Joey, but based on all the stories we've told, or you've told me. Adir.
This is Adir.
Hi, Adir.
Say hi.
Oh my goodness. Look at all the love your daddy is getting in the chat for his beautiful story. And you've got tons of fans here, by the way. How old is Adir now?
Adir is now 4 months old.
Oh, happy birthday.
That's right. Well, yeah, happy 4-month birthday. We named him Adir Matan, which means a mighty gift in Hebrew.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. He's so well behaved.
Well,
okay, now I want to sit here and play with this kid, but this is not the point of the story. But like, I got my clapper, I got my Wienermobile mask. Okay, such a cutie. Well, while you sit there with Adir, let's go over a couple of things. Of course, your 2 truths. Oh wait, no! Before we do that, we have pictures of Emre. So So Jillian, if we can pull up the first photo of Tuli and Emre. With the orange
towel.
His hair looks pretty tame there.
Yeah, he went through a different. You know what? Before I'd take a picture, sometimes he'd say 1 second, and then he'd go put some gel and like gel his hair back a little.
Oh, well, he didn't know which American woman you were going to be showing the photo to.
That's right, Robin. I'll give you the number later if you're interested.
Well said. Thank you. Listen, I don't live in Springfield, New Jersey, so it's
that's unfortunate. Or Las Vegas.
Right. And can we see the second picture, please, Jillian? Yes! I love this picture so much. Yep. He looks so proud of himself. He's like, look at the masterpiece.
Takes pride in his work. He's a good man.
So
really good man.
Thank you. We can.
And I sent him a message right before I went on here, just to, and he sent back, basically, he just wrote, Tuli Abim, which means Tuli, my brother.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we had, well, maybe he can understand the majority of it. I don't know how No. All right,
Okay.
so that's all right. Okay, so 2 truths and a lie. So, Adir, you're gonna hear some things about your daddy. So 2 truths and a lie. A, did Thule get accidentally drunk on the way to school in 3rd grade? Maybe Adir, that's gonna happen to you. Did he go to college on an athletics? B, did he go to college on an athletics scholarship? Or C, did Thule work in high finance? So once again, A, did he accidentally get drunk on the way to school in 3rd grade? B, did he go to college on an athletic scholarship? Or C, did Thule work in high finance? All right, let's see. Let's see. There's a bunch of C's. There's actually a bunch of B's. What am I talking about? Lots of B's. People don't believe that you went to college on it. That was going to be my answer. I actually don't know. I don't know the lie. All right, Adir, what do you think? A, B, or C?
Okay, so the answer is A, I actually did get drunk on the way to school in 3rd grade by accident.
On whale juice?
On sweet wine.
Okay.
That's another story.
Okay.
B, anyone who knows me knows that's hilarious. Touro College has no athletics, and also I absolutely, in any college, would not be accepted on a athletic scholarship. And C, I did work in some sort of high finance, but not anymore.
Very nice, very nice. And the last thing, so well done, everybody. You done well. So before we move on to our final portion, is there anything you want to plug? I know that we talked about something, and I thought now that we've seen Adir, maybe I can remind you if you forgot. You look
follow me on TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have one of those, but I'm looking for a job. So if anyone knows of anything really cool that pays a lot of money, those are pretty much my 2 criteria. I'm all game.
In the Jewish nonprofit space. So
yeah,
really
pretty
cool,
much. But also, like if it pays even more money and it's not in the Jewish nonprofit space, I'll consider it.
Great. Well, thank you again for your beautiful story. Bye, Adir. I hope to see you soon.
And thank you, Robin. Working with you has been incredible. If anyone ever needs a storytelling coach, Robin has been just incredible to work with. So
very sweet of you to say. Thank you. What's that?
Highly recommended.
Thank you. And we did not ask him to say any of that. So thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate it. And to wrap us up, I'm going to bring out the woman who's been working all kinds of magic behind the scenes, kind of like our Wizard of Oz. She's the East Coast Community Manager for JDC Entwine. Please give a warm welcome to Jillian Elbaum.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you. I wish I could actually see you. But yeah, as Robin said, I've kind of been working behind the scenes here. I just wanted to take a few quick moments to say thank you. Gratitude is so important to us at Entwine. So I just wanted to take one moment. First of all, thank you so much to our wonderful, amazingly talented storytellers and performers who have dedicated their time to this event over the last 3 days and beyond. Some of these storytellers have actually been working on these pieces for months and months. And so the storytellers and performers, we're just so proud of you, and thank you for the hard work that you've put into this event. My second thank you goes to Robin. Julie actually set me up so well here, but thank you so much to Robin. You're amazingly funny, wonderful to work with. Show some love for her in the chat for sure. Robin is a self-proclaimed ambassador of fun, and I have to say, after working with her for many months, there's really no better title for her. We've actually been working with Robin since November, and she's just put so much time and energy into this program. She spent countless hours working with our storytellers to bring their stories alive. And this program would just not be possible without her. So Robin, I just want to express deep gratitude and admiration for you on behalf of the whole team. And finally, I want to thank you, our audience, for tuning in, whether you've been here for the last three nights, you've tuned in just tonight. Thank you. I hope you feel connected and inspired by the stories. I know that I do. And just a quick plug, in classic Entwine fashion, you'll be receiving a survey tomorrow. Please fill it out, especially in this crazy virtual world that we're living in. Your feedback is so important to us, and we really do look at it. So when you get that survey, please take a couple minutes to fill it out. And on that similar note about Entwine, Entwine's gone totally virtual. And so to learn more about what we're up to, please visit us at the thread. The link is in the chat. That is our virtual platform. You can find all sorts of ways of getting involved with Entwine, including virtual insider trips. Go to Georgia. We're doing a virtual trip to Georgia in a few weeks. You should totally do it. It's going to be awesome. We also have giving circles, volunteer opportunities, and more. And so that is it. Robin, I'm going to turn it back to you to close us out. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Jillian. I am so grateful that I have Kleenex close by, because I deliberately did not read what you were going to share ahead of time, but it has been such an honor to work with you and Josh McCutis. I feel like you and all of the storytellers, I mean, everybody has been so welcoming and so warm, and I just feel like after working with you for all these months that you all feel like mishpucha. And if you're in the chat and you're like, what are you talking about, Gelfenbein? It means family. And before I just give some more thank yous, I just want to say that, you know, while we're all restricted at home right now, I hope that these stories gave you a chance to be transported to these far away places where you got a peek into people's worlds, their lives, and their experiences, because through our stories, we can connect in the most beautiful and authentic ways. So I encourage you to listen to other stories and to share your own, because I truly believe that it will bring our worlds together, both our large worlds and our small worlds together. So put all kinds of love in the chat for Josh and Jillian, Naomi, Andrew, everybody at JDC Entwine, and for all of our phenomenal performers tonight, whether they were with us live or not: Becky J, Grace Ramirez, Rabbi Isaiah Rothstein, Calix Jacobson, Thule Skaith. Let's give it for Adir as well, because Adir did not cry for a second. And also a huge thank you to all of you who were here for our final evening. And for those of you who came every night, only here for a couple of nights, it means so much to all of us who worked so hard to put this event together, because they have, Josh and Jillian and the whole staff have been working so hard for so long on this. So I hope to see you again soon. I am Robin Gelfenbein. Have a great night. Shalom.